functional training room in here.
If a person needs our services and they don't care to have us provide their training in their
on the
own
other side of
environment, we can do all of their training here.
Okay.
It's a space with carpet and tile, a sink, a microwave, an electric stove, kitchen countertops, refrigerator. There's all the low vision equipment a person might need. There are stairs.
Okay.
It's like isn't there stairs to go nowhere? They're just a sample set of stairs.
Okay.
But like sometimes people have trouble with that. And so we have occupational therapists on our staff who can train people to use, say, if you've had maybe a stroke and you have an issue with your visual field where you're just missing things, say, on the left side or the right side. There's prisms that can be put on glasses to maximize a person's visual field. And then we would go back to working with basics of stairs and safety. There's contrasting markings on our stairs to give a good example for folks of ways that they could implement some things to be safer in their homes. So while we love to train people in their own home environment, especially in the 16 counties that we go to, we know that someone who lives in, say, Bryan, Ohio is going to have a pretty tough time getting all the way to Toledo for ongoing training. That's why we do in-home services. Some people don't care for that. So we can do their services here. We can cook, we can clean, we can kind of simulate anything that a person might need to learn to do.
Okay.
In this space.
Okay, so this is where they do all their cooking and all that.
Well, we do very little cooking here because we do so much of that in a person's home.
Right.
That's the ideal setup.
Right, and how would I have to get that started? Because I'm wanting to do the cooking services, but how do I get that started?
Well, what we would do is we would start with an assessment.
Okay.
We would want to know, what can you already do?
Okay.
What kinds of cooking are you already able to, tasks are you able to complete? And then how much of that are sort of concept skills. So like an egg is a perfect example. Like sometimes people don't know the whole process of an egg. It starts as a liquid, but you can make it a solid. How do you handle eggs? How do you crack them? What do we do with the shells? How clean must your environment be? How do you cook an egg? How do you tell if it's done?
Yeah,
how do you move it around in a pan and manage all those moving things around a hot surface? You know?
Yeah, see, that I'm not good at.
There's a lot. An egg is really one of the greatest things to cook because you go through so many different steps. Mixing, measuring, you can put in a couple tablespoons of cream. You can season it. Right. You can do an awful lot just by cooking an egg. You can do an awful lot of skills training. Okay. So those are the kinds of things that's why we start with an assessment, because we want to know, what does a person know? What do they want to be able to do? I was just going to see if that was a spider. What do they want to be able to do? And how many hours of training do we think it would take to accomplish those goals? Okay. And because people learn differently, we have to start with an assessment to see, how can we predict what kind of a learner are you? What kinds of materials do you need? Do you like to have things, say, audio recorded so you can reflect back on it to think about questions that you might like to ask the next training session? Do you like to have things in Braille so that you have a hard copy to refer back to? Those are all things that go into a lesson. So we like to find those things out in advance so that we can make a good plan.
Okay, and then how much is it going to cost to get stuff started?
Well, that's where our case manager gets involved. She does an agency plan where we talk about what services are needed and what funding sources are available.
Okay, and who's the case manager?
Her name is Jill Hunt.
Okay,
She's
and is she here today or?
She is. She meets with folks by appointment.
Oh, okay.
But I can tell you, I can answer some of those questions. Okay. So you are a working individual.
Exactly.
And you're under the age of 55.
Yes, I'm 32.
One of the funding sources that is available is a service called the Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired.
Yep, I've been through that.
Who was your counselor?
Monica.
Okay.
But I'm not through them anymore.
Okay. Yep, and that just means you're successfully employed. Right. And your case is basically closed. Doesn't mean you can't work with them again. It just means that you don't have an open case at this time. Right. One of the things that you could do is you could reapply for services through BSVI, and you could ask them for supplemental training. Okay. They're going to want to tie, because they're very, very vocationally oriented, so they're going to want to tie any training that you need or skills into maintaining your job, or, getting a job. And you need to get a job because you've got a great job.
Right.
So we don't want to go down there.
Right, and I love it. I mean, I love my job.
So if you're just looking at cooking as independent skill building,
Yeah.
that may be something that they have a tough time getting behind. But I would always encourage a person to approach them, fill out an application, tell them what your needs are, and how it will help you to be independent, and tie it back to vocation. Say, you know what, you helped me to get this job, but I would like to be able to do more independently so I can maybe save more on my groceries because I have to eat out or eat prepared food. I want to lower my healthcare costs because I want to eat healthy going into the new year.
Right.
Whatever your goals are. Your goals should be your goals, and I wouldn't want to tell you what your goals should be.
Right.
But that would be where I would start.
Okay. It's going through BSVI
I
again.
would start by asking BSVI. Say, could I open a case? This is my interest. Especially because you're not saying, hey, I want you to buy me a new computer. I want all this equipment.
Right.
You want access to some specialized training.
Right, yeah.
So-
'Cause
Do you pack your own lunch?
yeah.
Do you take
Daff and I help out with it.
Do you take like sandwiches and things like that, or is it like leftovers from the night before?
Leftover stuff and sometimes sandwiches.
Okay.
Do you heat that up in the microwave at work?
Yeah, but I need help with that because none of their microwaves are Braille, and if I put Braille on one of them, I have people at work that would take it off, and I wouldn't want that.
So, there's clear things that we could put onto a microwave so that it wouldn't affect anybody else's ability to see what the button says, but it would give you the accommodation you needed to be able to accomplish that task independently. And we could go right to your work site to do that.
Okay.
So probably what I would say is we would start with an assessment, and it would be like an ADL assessment.
Okay.
We could do that at home and the workplace, or just at home, depending on how we could arrange that. And we just predict some hours,
Okay.
and maybe some tools, some adaptive tools to make some of the tasks in the kitchen a little bit easier.
Yeah, because that's what I'm needing or not wanting to know is what tools I should get. Because I know I talked to my supervisor about it and said, well, why don't you talk to the site center and see what they have to recommend. I do have a microwave egg cooker at home that my mom got me that I use to make hard-boiled eggs in a microwave. That I do have.
Yeah, and sometimes
So-
we can help to weed out what is a great gadget and what is kind of unnecessary.
Right.
There's a lot of gadgets you can weed out just because you could accomplish the same outcome with a technique
Okay.
instead of having a special tool. And then you've got the knowledge. You take that wherever you go. You don't always have to have another tool. In my opinion, it's one more thing to wash in the kitchen. So
Right.
I love the techniques. So I think that's probably the best thing. And I think that asking questions about how things are paid for is a really great question.
Okay.
So I would say start with BSVI.
Okay.
My second question would be, what funding do you have through your county services?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a budget? Do you have a waiver? Do you?
I have a waiver. I just don't know what it will pay for.
We are not a waiver provider.
You're not? Okay.
But if
I
your
don't think
waiver, if we're exploring that, but it's actually quite expensive. It's $800 for an agency to become a waiver provider.
Really?
Man,
I just found that out
Wow.
this week. Yep.
that's a lot of money.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we pay them $800 just to be able to maybe provide services.
Okay. Wow.
So like when we
We're
did your
struggling with
IP
that.
meeting, I put in there like that you would contact the site center and
Exactly.
you'd kind of be working with them, but I was not able to put them on as a role because when I looked, it said that they weren't a waiver provider, so I knew that it might be kind of difficult for like your waiver to pay
cover
for
it.
some of the things,
Right.
but there's like when we refer someone to OOD, for instance, if they want to be community employed,
Right.
OOD is kind of their separate entity, so it seems like
Right. We are a vendor for OOD.
okay,
And that required a lot of paperwork. But we didn't have to pay them.
right,
Um,
right,
The DODD system, it requires paperwork
Mhm.
also,
Jeez.
but also $800.
Ooh.
And as a nonprofit, we're sort of having a hard time biting off $800 for that.
right.
Wow.
So right now, we're not a waiver provider.
So did you say BSVI?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired.
Okay. So that
So-
might be. So are they the ones that would do then the assessment?
They
With
would
Kristen?
they would send us an authorization, and then we would provide the
Oh.
evaluation.
Okay, so she'll just have to fill out an application
Yep.
for that.
They don't provide services. They would create a plan, and they would agree with a plan what they would be willing to pay for.
Oh, cool.
And they would want to know, like, what functional areas are you having a hard time with? Why do you need the site center? And so you just want to be real frank with them about what you want to be able to do, areas you might be struggling in.
Okay.
Cool.
So
Well, cooking is one of them. So cooking is definitely my interest in right now. Anyway.
And I mean, it's terrible to have to base goals on funding, but it is sort of based on funding.
Right.
Not that your goals are, but you're right. Everything has to get paid for. So BSBI is an option.
Okay.
If you had budget funds, we can accept budget funds through the county board because you would send us a purchase order and then we provide the service based on an individual budget.
Is
But
that
a budget
is
is
it,
not the same as a waiver.
okay? I don't know what.
It's like speaking a foreign language, understanding all these government streams of money. So
I don't know.
I don't believe that is.
not applicable.
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I can ask because I just started in August. So
Sometimes people get a
I'm kinda
budget
still
while
learning.
they're on a wait list, I think, for a waiver. But that could have been, a process of years ago.
You said it's called a budget.
Fund.